please, if it makes it all buggy and weird, and if it does, then we'll just stop the recording, but hopefully it'll work. Good so far? Yeah, okay, awesome. Perfection. Okay, so first we're going to get right into keywords. So keywords are the words or phrases that anyone might enter into Google to look for you, your website, your product, whatever it is, however they might find you. Okay, so everybody start thinking about what your business is and what people might search to find you. Just kind of start considering that. You can think about what relevant keywords people are using to find you. You can also consider long tail keywords. I always think of like the long tail lemurs when I hear that, but long tail keywords are just longer keywords that might be 3, 4, 5 words long that people will use to find you in a more specific niche. So in the Making Waves WordPress setup course, I started a brand new website called Adventures in Botany, because another thing that I love is gardening. So I could use gardening as a keyword for Adventures in Botany, but I also might use, I wrote recently a post about growing pineapples. So I might use for that post the keywords growing pineapples in Hawaii, which is going to be a whole lot more specific and find a very specific audience as opposed to gardening, which is huge, right? So now I want to show you some tools to help you find different keywords. And I'm going to throw the first link into the chat, and I want everybody to be able to go here and check it out along with me. So the first one is just going to be Google Trends. And this one will just kind of show us how many people are looking for certain things on the web. So here, I'm going to show you Google Trends now. And did everybody see that in the chat? Did it go on the chat or not yet? Now it's in the chat. Okay, so y'all can click on Google Trends and open it up. And first, I just want you to think of a keyword that people are going to use to find you and your business. So for me, as I said, I'm just going to do gardening at first. And okay, it's going to say past day. And I hate doing it that way because it shows overnight. Like, sure, very few people are searching for anything at midnight. Maybe not everywhere, but I'm going to say over a week. So we get kind of a general of the days, how many people are searching for gardening. And this is actually interesting because this is the lowest I've seen gardening ever show up on Google Trends. This is what is actually happening over the past 7 days on Google. And 100 isn't 100 people. It's the most that Google sees. So it's super, super high. 50 is still pretty high. And then 25 is a little lower, but it's still pretty good. Now we can compare it. This is where it gets fun. We can compare it. So let's say botany, because my garden blog is called Adventures in Botany. So if we compare gardening to botany, you can see here that gardening is something that's Googled a ton, and botany is Googled a whole lot less, but still pretty good. It's still got a pretty decent following. So this is something that you can just compare and play with. What did I say the long tail keyword was? Growing pineapples in Hawaii. I'm going to guess that on Google, this is going to show up almost as a 0. Yeah, oh, look, there's a little blip right here. But for the most part, this shows up as a 0 because it's not something that people are putting into Google constantly, okay? But this is just shows you a little bit about what's happening with some of the keywords that you might consider. Now, somebody unmute and tell me, what of the 3 that I put in is the best keyword to use on a page in my blog? Nobody wants to tell me. Everybody's like shaking their head.
Gardening.
Okay, Ingrid said gardening. Thank you. This was totally a trick question. I think some of you knew this was totally a trick question because at first glance, it looks like gardening, right? The most people are searching it, but it's also got the most people putting stuff out there about gardening. So it can be really, really hard to rank in something as huge as gardening because yes, there are millions of people searching it, but there are millions and millions of people putting content out there about gardening. So I would say maybe on 1 or 2 of my pages, I might use gardening as a keyword, but I'm also going to use botany strategically in different places. And where it makes sense, I'm going to use growing pineapples in Hawaii, because that's going to be a whole lot easier to rank #1 on Google in than gardening will. I honestly, y'all, I'm never going to rank #1 in gardening on Google. There's just too much competition. So yes, it looks great when you have a keyword that has a lot of volume in searches, but think about how much competition you've got with it too. So let's move on to look at Answer the Public. This one is, I think, even more fun than Google Trends. I'm going to copy and put this one in the chat for y'all as well. So go to Answer the Public for me. And again, I'll put in gardening first. Oh, I didn't share it with you all yet. There we go. I will put in gardening first. And everybody make sure you're doing this one, because I'm going to ask some of y'all what you're putting in about some of these, because this one gets interesting and fun. All right, so Answer the Public, I put in gardening, and the 33,000 is essentially the highest search volume that it gets to. It says $1.49 per click right now, which is lower than I've seen gardening at other times. So again, fewer people are searching gardening right now. I don't know why. Okay, and here's where it gets fun. We have this wheel of questions. So who owns Gardening Express? I guess that's a big company. Why gardening is good for you. Why gardening is a good hobby. How gardening is good for your health. Can gardening reduce stress? You see all these different questions, and these can be really useful in coming up with long tail keywords, social media posts, blog topic ideas, thinking about other things to write about in your posts or your websites. So this is just a really fun tool to use and to consider and think about. You get 3 free searches per day on Answer the Public, so use them wisely unless you want to pay for the upgraded version. So somebody unmute and tell me what you searched and some of the fun questions that it came up with for you. Oh, see, it won't even let me do that now. So who wants to unmute and tell me what you found?
I can start. Did you hear me?
Yeah, yep.
Okay. So I put in sugar addiction.
Okay.
And then in the wheel, there's the can, the for, the is, the near. Do we all have that? Everybody has that? The
yes.
To and the with? Okay. So can is things like, can sugar addiction be cured? Can sugar addiction cause depression? Can sugar addiction kill you? And then on things like, just giving some examples, is there's things like sugar addiction is real, sugar addiction is not real, is sugar addiction a thing, is sugar addiction an eating disorder? And then the near is pretty cool, because like sugar addiction support group near me, sugar addiction treatment near me, and so on and so on. So pretty cool questions. I see how I could use these if I would just start putting more content out there to be searched.
Right? No, I love that.
But yeah, it makes a lot of sense that this is, sugar addiction, how to stop, so on the twos, there's stuff like that. Sugar addiction compared to drugs. It's great. I love it. That's really cool. Thank you.
It's a fun little tool, right? And then if you scroll down further, you've got with and for, so you've got even more things to check out and look at. I don't even, what does that say? Gardening near septic tank. That's useful. It's very specific, but useful. Anybody else want to unmute and share what they found in Answer the Public? No, nobody else wants to go? All right. Shekinah, are you going to go?
So this is, I've never used Google before. You guys got me last year. You guys got me into Zoom, and now you're switching over to Google. Like, sheesh, make up your minds.
I know, right?
So I just punched in Kenai River, and my search volume was like 3,600. And then my cost per click was like $2.51. And the questions that I only got 17 questions on like the Kenai River. So like how far is the Kenai River from Anchorage? How to fish the Kenai River? How deep is Kenai River? So mine actually, like, I've got a pretty good, once I narrow it down and I typed in, and first I typed in, hold on a second. No, you're going to wait, please. So then I typed in Kenai River vacations and it was 0. Like nobody is interested in Kenai River. And I don't think that's the case. Like nobody's interested in Kenai River vacations, but it was a very low searched category.
Right. So that's both good news and bad news, Shekinah,
Yes.
in that you have a better chance of ranking in that. And it's not that no one is searching it. It's that not enough people are searching it for this particular tool to come up with a whole bunch of interesting questions and topics based on what people are searching based on it.
Right.
So you can play with it a little bit more too and think about some other things. Like you could search Alaska vacations and you're going to get a whole lot more stuff. Or you could go Kenai River or even, I don't know, you could definitely nuance that a little bit and get some other ideas and questions. But even with 17 questions, you still get some ideas for different things that you could add to the website or put on social media and things like that. So it's still helpful, I think.
No, I think it's incredibly helpful because for one, that puts me as like, all right, well, I can tailor whatever it is I'm going to do with my business because it's not a common category that's searched for. Like I will automatically be putting myself at the top the more effort I put into SEO.
Right. Yeah. It'll be easier for you to get to the top of what people are searching for Kenai River than it will be for Ingrid with sugar addiction, because obviously, or me with gardening, because obviously those are topics that millions and millions of people are posting about every day.
Right.
So, okay, let's move on to the last one. Uber Suggest. This one is kind of along the same lines. Again, I'm just going to put in gardening and search it. Thinking real hard. Sometimes, oh, okay. Oh, it signed me out. It says, give me a second. Let me see if I can make it log in properly for me here. And it closed out on me. Give me one second, guys. Okay, I think I got it. And here we go. Okay, so this one has a little bit more information about the cost per clicks and the SEO difficulty. So gardening, I threw in gardening because again, I know it's a really, really commonly searched topic. So it's got a very high search volume. We already knew that. And the SEO difficulty is a 71 out of 100. So that's pretty difficult. It's going to be difficult for me to rank in gardening. Paid difficulty is even more difficult. So if I pay a bunch of money for ads, it might not even help me that much because lots of other people are paying for ads in gardening. So cost per click says $1.49. Again, that's actually lower than what I've seen it at other times. So now let's try botany and see if there's a difference. And again, you only get so many searches per day with this before you have to upgrade to the paid one. So use them wisely. With botany, it still says 74 for SEO difficulty, but now it's a 1 for paid difficulty. So it's much easier. So if I were willing to put some money into getting some searches out there, I might do pretty well with botany. So if I were going to pay for a Google ad, I would be better off to use botany as a keyword than I would be to gardening in my paid ads. So that's what you can really use Uber Suggest for here. Does anybody have one that they want to share really quick or no? Not this time? You guys are all kind of like making faces on this one. Okay, that's totally okay. So let's go back to where we were.
Well, just real quick, I opened Uber Suggest, but I think I did something before in Lamb where I did set up an account. And so it went straight to a website checker or something like that. And so it's just going to take me a minute to find whatever screen you were on. So I just wasn't fast enough to follow along.
No, that's totally okay. Oh, I didn't put Uber Suggest into the thing either, guys. I'm sorry. you can Google Uber Suggest. I already closed it. Here, let me open it up really quick so that I can put it in so that you guys do have it so you can use it later. If you want to copy that down, you can. Copy into the chat for you all. There you go. Okay, so you've got that now, and you can use it later. Copy that link down if you want to, so you've got it. Sorry, I didn't post that one as I was going to it. Okay, so now let's just talk for a second. Successful SEO is not about tricking Google. It's about partnering with Google to provide the best search results for Google users. So that really does make a lot of sense. And again, that goes along with the idea that SEO and what users really want are meshed together really well these days. And Google is good at figuring out what people want to see and showing them what they want. And Phil Frost is a founder of a digital marketing company that's very, very popular on it's Main Street ROI, for those of you who might know that. Okay, let's move on to our Yoast plugin now. How many of you have used Yoast before? I know some of you have, but a lot of you probably haven't. Some of you have and you might not realize it. So Yoast is a very popular WordPress plugin that helps you put SEO data on your web pages without having to code it in. So the SEO data is generally coded into a web page, and Yoast is a plugin that makes so you just type it into the right spots and you don't have to know how to code. Okay, it's also available on Wix and Shopify, and it's probably available on quite a few other builders as well. We can always search and find out if it's available if you've got something other than these. Squarespace has one called SEO Space that's essentially the same thing, that does the same thing for you. So we're going to go into my Adventures in Botany website and look at some of the SEO data there. So first we'll look at the keywords. The slug is just what comes after the .com. So in my case, it's adventuresinbotany.com/whatever's next. It might be gardening, it might be growing pineapples, it could be anything, and you can make it be whatever you want to help people find what they're looking for. Then we'll look at the meta description, and then we'll look at the in-depth analysis that shows you all these green, orange, and red lights. And the biggest temptation with Yoast is to work really, really, really hard to get all green lights, because if you're a perfectionist, like a lot of you know I am, you want to see all green, right? You want it to be perfect. You want it to be all right. And that's really not necessarily the best way to go about it. And we'll get into Yoast and look at why that might be the case. So let's come over to Adventures in Botany. And this is my WordPress dashboard, and I have the pages pulled up already. And we're going to go to edit the homepage, not edit with Elementor, the page builder, but regular edit. And is it going? Yes. WordPress always takes a minute when I'm sharing screen and recording and doing all the things. So down here at the bottom, you can see where it says Yoast SEO. And if you didn't know what to look for, it might be easy to miss it, right? So click on the caret there. And now, if you have a WordPress website, I'd love for you to go in and follow along and do this too and put in some fun stuff. Okay. So here it starts off on the SEO tab, and you can see I've already done this for the homepage of Adventures in Botany. I put in a focused key phrase of gardening tips. So rather than just gardening in this case, I put in gardening tips. And then I put in the SEO title, gardening tip, get gardening tips. And the slug, so what comes after the .com is gardening. My meta description is what's going to show up. You can see it up here. Is what's going to show up when you Google search. And you can actually look at it in mobile or desktop, either one. And this is exactly what you see. You guys have all seen this before. This is exactly what you see when you Google either desktop or mobile. You'll see that. So this is where you write it in. And the analysis tells me this is a little bit too long, so it might cut off a word. And again, it doesn't need to be perfect. You can have it a little too long or a little too short. It might not show every single word, and that's not necessarily the end of the world. Okay, it's something to consider and think about. If I took a word out in here and you could see that cultivate your passion for plants, well, then maybe that would be better. But it's not the end of the world. Okay, and then we can click on this SEO analysis. So we'll Go here, and it tells, so again, Yoast, I use the free version. There is a paid version. So if you pay for it, you get even more bullets that you can make green or red or yellow or orange or whatever. Right now, I do not have outbound links or internal links in my information on that page. I will add those in as time goes on. This page isn't really live yet. It's technically live, but no one's looking at it yet. I'm not using the key phrase in my introduction. So it says your key phrase does not appear in the first paragraph. Right now, my first paragraph doesn't really exist. So that's true. It's not there, and I will add probably at least part of the key phrase in there. This text contains 46 words, which is below the minimum of 300. This is definitely one of those that makes sense for some pages, but not for all pages. So if you're looking at your contact us page, there's no need for it to have 300 words. That would be silly and probably inappropriate. So let it be read, not a big deal. Don't chase those green lights just for the sake of having a green light. Do what makes sense, not what the Yoast plugin tells you to do, okay? Image key phrases. We're going to look at key phrases in the images in just a couple minutes, but it says my alt text does not have half of the words from the key phrase. So that's just something to consider. It may not make sense to do that on all your images, but where you can and where it makes sense, use a keyword in your text, in your image title and your image alt text, which we're going to look at in a minute. My meta description length is a little too long. We looked at that earlier. And I don't have my entire key phrase in the slug. And that's, again, not really necessary in every case. Yoast likes it if you have images on every page, and I have images on this one. Key phrase in the SEO title. Key phrase length. So if you get too long of a key phrase, it starts to say that's not so great. But again, sometimes that can be helpful for you. So it might depend on what you're doing. Key phrase in the meta description. And previously used key phrase. I haven't used that one before. So it's really good to use different key phrases or keywords for different pages. And that just allows you to have more breadth of people searching for different things and still finding you. So that's a really good thing. I have a key phrase in one of my subheadings, and the SEO title is a good link. Okay, so those are all things that we can just look at. And again, you don't have to chase the lights with this, but it's something to look at, play with, and use as a tool to help you find what you're looking for. Let's check one out that I have done no SEO on yet. So I think I told y'all I just wrote this little thing about growing pineapples, and we could add a little bit of SEO data to that. Y'all can help me if you want to. Y'all can unmute whenever you want. What should my focus key phrase be for this post that I called Pineapple Chronicles on growing pineapples? Okay, you can either put it in the chat or unmute and say, but should it be growing pineapples or should it be growing pineapples in Hawaii? It could, but neither one's correct. It's just whatever I decide I want to use.
Hawaii.
Hawaii, okay. Growing pineapples in Hawaii. Okay. And that is going to be more specific than just growing pineapples. So that can be a good thing. Okay. I have some text here that I can use part of for a meta description. Here, I'm just going to copy a little bit of it. It's going to be too long, I'm sure. But this is a little bit of an excerpt of what I have in there, and we can pull out a few keywords here. Pine apples are actually bromeliads. You don't need the whole thing. Pineapples don't grow on trees, which is brand new news to a lot of people who don't live in Hawaii, y'all.
I remember having conversations with people in college when I went to the Bay, or like I went to school in the Bay Area, and they did not believe me. They thought they would grow on trees.
The exact same thing happened, Catherine. People will swear to you that pineapples grow on trees, and they don't. Isn't that wild? Okay, I'm just going to leave that for now, y'all, just because we don't need to keep going on that forever. But you know, I can nuance that and make it a little shorter as it's just a little long right now. So you don't see all of it here. So I could nuance that and make it the right length if I really want to. Again, I don't have outbound and internal links in there yet. And that's something I'll add as I keep working on this blog post. It's not really finished yet. And apparently I haven't said growing pineapples in the first paragraph of that post. And I might want to do that. You know, that seems like a pretty good idea. The key phrase was found 0 times. I probably didn't say growing pineapples in Hawaii. I probably said growing pineapples. So, you know, does that matter? Is it a big deal? Maybe, maybe not.
Once you put it into the plugin, then it makes it to where it can be found, even though you didn't say that phrase repeatedly in the blog. Does that make sense?
Say that again, Ingrid. Once you...
Well, I thought part of the Yoast plugin was that you can put some stuff in the metadata that may or may not necessarily be in the content of your blog, but that is relevant to it.
Yes. So I said growing pineapples in Hawaii as my key phrase. And I didn't say specifically growing pineapples in Hawaii in the blog. I'm sure I probably said growing pineapples multiple times, but I didn't use the phrase growing pineapples in Hawaii. So I added that key phrase, that keyword in Hawaii, which makes it more of a niche. And again, maybe that's a good thing. Maybe it's not. Sometimes it's hard to know that for sure until you try it. And I could always put this out there with that keyword, with that key phrase. And then if it's not getting a lot of hits or a lot of organic traffic, I can come in and change it to just growing pineapples and see if that makes a difference. Now, it takes a little time for that to happen. It's not like that happens tomorrow, but I could leave it up, you know, for 3 or 4 weeks with growing pineapples in Hawaii and say I've gotten no organic hits. Well, then I take the in Hawaii off and see if that helps it. So that's definitely something you can experiment and play with.
I may have missed it at the very beginning, but is it, you can do the Yoast plugin on any page on your website? If it works on your website?
Yes. If Yoast is available for your
builder or whatever.
Thank you, builder. If Yoast is available in your builder, you'll be able to do it for every page. Yes, for sure. Okay, so you guys get the idea with this, right? And again, don't chase the green bullets. They are great, but they are not the end all be all. And if you're chasing the green bullets, it's almost like you're thinking about the computer or the plugin as opposed to your user. And you always want to focus on your user ahead of anyone else or anything else, okay? And by focusing on your user, you're also going to get good SEO data. So when you're writing your content, I didn't show you the actual blog post, but when you're writing your content, include your keywords. Include them wherever it makes sense to, but don't do what's called keyword stuffing. I'm going to read you this example of keyword stuffing and you'll see exactly what I mean. This cake decorating tutorial will show you a cake decorating tutorial on how to decorate a cake. The first part of this cake decorating tutorial is on how to decorate a cake. Here's how to decorate a cake in this cake decorating tutorial. No one wants to read that in real life, right? It's ridiculous. Don't do that. That's keyword stuffing. Gina's laughing at me. So just a few more tips. Write naturally in a way that appeals to your audience. So write like you would talk to your clients, write like you would talk to people. That will also appeal to the Google crawlers, the bots that are out there looking for SEO and looking at your page to see how good it is. Use headings and subheadings and lists and bullets. That always is going to help people to be able to pick out the information they want. I'm sure you all have gone to a blog and you're looking for something specific, right? And you're scrolling till you see the heading that says what you want. And then you stop and read what it is. We've all done it. Help people do that. Help people find what they want. Okay. So write quality content that real people want to read. Don't write for the plugin. So again, Yoast has some of this readability and some other things that you can look at. And it's great to a point, but don't rely on it completely. Don't focus on getting all green bullets, because what's more important is writing content that your audience wants to read and hear. So the best SEO strategy is to focus on the user. Marcus Tober is a vice president at SEMrush, and SEMrush is one of the biggest, if not the biggest, SEO company, I would say, in the country, in the world right now. So he certainly knows what he's talking about. Let's go on to image optimization now. So I did do a whole mini course on image optimization that you all can get if you want to. And the biggest things about image optimization are to make sure that your images are sized properly for how you're going to use them on your site. So if you have an image that's going to be like the big hero image right at the top of your page, it needs to be a little bit bigger so it doesn't look grainy and pixelated and icky for people who come and look at your website. And it doesn't need to be 5,000 pixels wide. Your 2,500 is pretty much the standard for width of screens. So don't make it bigger than it needs to be. And by the same token, if you've got, 5 little pictures down at the bottom of your screen that are going to be, say, portfolio or examples of my work or something, those don't need to be 2,000 pixels wide. Make those the right size for the page so that they're not taking up more space on your website than they need to and making your page load slowly. Okay. Everybody, SEO people, everybody likes pages to load as quickly as possible. Okay. And having properly sized images helps that a ton. Always include name and alt text for your images, and use a plugin like Smush to lazy load images. So lazy loading just means that as you go to a website, the first image that you see loads first, and the page loads before all the rest of the images load. So as you scroll down, the images will start to load, but it'll show you the page before all the images are loaded. So let's go back to Adventures in Botany and check out the data for a couple of images. I gotta go to our media library. So in WordPress, I'm going to go to the media library, and we're just going to use a couple examples here. And as soon as it loads, we can see some of the pictures that I have. I put a lot of pineapple pictures in here because I made that pineapple blog. This one doesn't have any information yet. So for alt text, this is what people will see if the image doesn't load for some reason, or if they are using what's called a screen reader. Someone who has a visual impairment will see the alternative text instead of the actual image. So I would want to say, I might want to say, oops, pineapple growing in Hawaii. I might even say baby pineapple because it is a baby pineapple. It's pretty little in this picture, isn't it? And a lot of times I use the same title and alternative text because it makes sense to do that. And sometimes I change it up just a little bit. Again, as long as you have both of them and they both make sense, they can be the same, they can be different, but make sure they both make sense. And if you include your keywords in it, that's even better. Did I spell pineapple wrong? I forgot the A, didn't I? There we go. Okay. So that's how you put in the alternative text and the title. The caption and description are significantly less important for SEO. So a lot of times I don't include them unless I'm going to actually use a caption on the web page, and then it would make sense to include the caption. But as long as you've got alt text and title, that's really helpful for SEO. Okay. Questions so far, guys? We've done a lot of stuff so far, huh? Holly has a question. What's up, Holly?
So I still don't have a really good concept of alt text and that. So you're naming that image on your website within the context of your keywords.
Okay, so think of it this way. If someone can't see the image for whatever reason, what words would you want them to have instead? That's what the alt text is. So how would you describe that image to someone who can't see? Okay. Like think of it, what it truly is for people who are blind, can't see the images, they get read the alt text instead by a screen reader. So what do you want them to hear? What do you want them to hear about the image? So again, I said baby pineapple growing in Hawaii because it made sense for that particular picture. If someone is blind and can't see that picture and they are read that instead, they would have a reasonable idea of what that picture was. That is truly what the alt text is.
Okay. All right. And then
All right. Oh, go ahead.
One second question. So if, like, I have a web page on Pocket Enterprises that has some motivational videos, do you alt text those as well?
It depends. on how you're hosting them. If they're hosted in your media library, like the images I just had, then you can. But when I put that, okay, this is just a general thing for everybody. I tend to use YouTube to host videos and then link them through the website because they load a whole lot faster that way. To me, it's not worth the time loading that it takes if you're hosting videos on your own website. It makes more sense to let YouTube do it, in which case you don't have the option to put alt text or titles in.
Okay.
But that would be my advice for that.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, good questions. Yeah, you bet. All right, moving on to links then. The 3 types of links we're going to talk about are internal, external, and backlinks. Okay, so internal links are just hyperlinks or links, same thing, that point to other pages within the same website. So as long as your links are relevant, as long as they make sense, use them liberally. So the reasons why internal links are good for SEO is because it helps site navigation. So think about just about every website now has a header with a menu at the top, right? Those are all internal links. You might have, home, about us, contact us, our products. Those are all links. Those are all internal links that help with navigation on a website. They guide users to the relevant content that they want, whether that's the header or whether that's within text. So most blogs, we've all seen blogs that have like every other word is a link, right? To like another blog post or the homepage or a product. Great, as long as they make sense. Great if they're guiding users to what they want. And it's an opportunity to use your keywords even more. So I might, in the future, make a post about growing mangoes in Hawaii. And at some point in that post, it might make sense to talk about other fruit and that pineapples are really fun to grow too. And in that case, I would put a link to that word pineapples and it would take you to my post on growing pineapples. So it's a great way for you to promote your content on other pages. So great for SEO, great for readers, and great for promoting other pages on your websites, and super easy to do. External links. So external links are just links that direct users to pages or content on a different website. And at first glance, it sounds bad, right? Like, I don't want people to leave my website. I want them to stay on my website and not go to other websites. But it's good in a lot of other ways. So this is essentially you giving someone else a backlink. We're going to talk about backlinks next. But external links on your website are good for SEO because they show that your content is part of a larger field of relevant content, that you are part of this high quality, overall, overarching content that many people are a part of. Okay, it shows that you're not just a little lone ship in the ocean. You are a part of this bigger world of content. And it improves the user experience. So if it makes sense for someone to go to another website and you're willing to send them there, that makes you more reputable. It makes your content more useful, and Google sees that. And it shows that you're building relationships in the industry, which is always a good thing too, for both SEO and users. So now backlinks are essentially hyperlinks from one website to another that come to you. So this is somebody else posting a link to your website on their website. We all want that, right? Because it brings us more users. It's going to bring more people to our websites. So how do you get backlinks? It used to be a common thing to, like, you could get web developers that would say, okay, you can buy 500 backlinks here for X amount of dollars. Well, that worked for a while. And then Google caught on and said, oh, no, these aren't real backlinks. These aren't quality backlinks. So now if you do that, Google actually docks and won't send people to your website. So if that's something you've looked at, or if someone suggested that, don't go buy 500 backlinks for X number of dollars, because it doesn't work anymore. And that's the interesting thing about Google and how it ranks SEO, because it's always updating. So if you try to trick Google, it might work for a little while, but Google's going to catch on. So again, if you're doing what's right for the users, that's what's going to end up being best. And you're not going to have to worry about changing something because, oh my gosh, Google caught on and figured it out. So that was just a side note. But how do we get backlinks? So one way is, if you're a blogger or if you're willing to write content, do a guest post, offer to do a guest post for a blog. Be on a podcast for somebody, and then they'll link to your website too. Ask other businesses, just ask your friends, your family, business owners that you enjoy, offer to trade backlinks. That's something Tina's been talking about. You know, she's got a website. She's like, why don't we all kind of say links to other resources or other businesses I love or things like that? That's a great way to give people some backlinks, and it will help your users find who they might be looking for. You know, Virginia's a fantastic photographer, so why wouldn't I link to her on my website and say, hey, if you're looking for a photographer for your website, check out Big Island Portraits with Virginia. So it's a really nice thing to do for other businesses, and then often other businesses will do it for you. And it can take time. If you're a brand new business, you might not know, 30 or 40 other businesses that you want to trade backlinks with. And you might not have all of those relationships built yet to be able to do that. So think about building relationships more so than building links. And Scott Kivowitz is a really famous photographer who has, a big blog and has made a lot of money by people finding his photography. So he's good at links and SEO. So this is where we come to the most frustrating part for me anyway. I'm not the most patient person in the world. SEO takes time and patience. Putting all of this into practice will take a little time. I mean, the actual doing of it isn't super difficult, but it's going to take some time, especially if you've got maybe 20 or 30 pages on your website already. To go back and do all that SEO will take some time. But even when you've got it all optimized, it's not like Google sees it tomorrow and, oh, boom, I get tons of traffic. Okay, it takes time for those Google bots to come out and actually scan your site and say, oh, look, she is creating good content. This is good now. And even when that happens, it's not like suddenly you have hundreds of people coming to your website in an instant. Okay, so it takes time. Generally, if you're doing your SEO and you've got it all set up, it'll be a few months before you really start to see big increases in your traffic from having good SEO on your site. So don't expect that, okay, Heather, I went in and, did all my SEO data and I only got, 6 hits today. So what's wrong with it? What did I do wrong? You didn't do anything wrong. It takes time. Okay, so don't get discouraged. That's the thing that, we all get frustrated when things take longer than we want, but try not to get discouraged. SEO definitely takes time and patience. So just remember that. Try not to get frustrated by it. What is next? Start building your SEO strategy. Start thinking about keywords and what you want to have on your web pages, and start building out that SEO. Be patient. Don't get overwhelmed with it, and don't chase the green bullets too much on Yoast. Use it as a tool, not as an absolute parameter where it has to be all green. And then if you want a little more information about website building, I've got the Making Waves courses. So the WordPress setup course takes you from zero, from not knowing necessarily anything, from finding a domain, buying that domain, choosing hosting for that domain, and then setting up WordPress and the plugins that you need. And if you don't know what any of that means, that's okay. I teach it to you in the course. And then the website builder course picks up where the setup course left off, and you get website design, how to start building that website, the plugin Elementor, which helps you build pages without having to know how to code at all, which is super nice. And most of us don't know how to code, I assume. And then it takes you into how to build a blog on that website, how to put a store on that website, SEO, accessibility for the website, how to launch a website, and then how to maintain it and keep up with it over time. That's so important. And if you build a website and never change it, that's not great for SEO either. One of the things that Google looks at is that a site is being updated regularly. SEO assumes that if a site isn't being updated regularly, that it's essentially dead. So never changing your website isn't good either. Right now, the WordPress setup course is $197. The website builder course is $397, which is a pretty good deal. Everybody tells me I should charge more, but I'm not. That takes you from zero, from knowing nothing, to having a fully built website with a blog and a store for under $600, which again is a good deal. Hiring someone would cost you over $1,000. And if you hire someone, if you hire the exact right person, okay. But if you don't hire exactly the right person, I know so many people who have paid to have a website built. They end up with something that they're not really very happy with. I should kind of raising your hand again. I know you're my example for this. They're not very happy with it. they paid a lot of money. They don't have a ton more money to pay someone to redo it, and they don't know how to do anything with it themselves. So they're really stuck in this horrible position. And I just really hate to see that. That makes me so sad. And it just feels icky, right? It feels icky to pay someone to do something and then you're not happy with it and you're stuck. And I know, Shikani, you are not the only one I know who's been in that situation, and it's common, unfortunately. So I don't want anyone to end up in that situation. So right now, I am offering both the WordPress setup course and the builder course as a bundle. So I'm bundling it and only charging $447. So it's essentially $150 off. And you have the ability to build, update, and maintain websites essentially forever. You could build many websites, and building a website these days, you all know this already. Building websites isn't something you're going to do once and never do again. Most of us are going to have the opportunity and the need to build websites multiple times. So it makes sense to be able to do it. So that's why I'm offering the course, and I want you all to be able to get it for a good price. I want everybody to be able to do it. I want to see the whole world be able to build websites. So what do you get with it? You get lifetime access to both courses. Take your time, work at your own pace. There's no, people have told me, oh, I'm getting behind. You're not getting behind. It's go at your own pace. You do it when you have time. You do it when it makes sense for you. There's no getting behind. There's no having to do it by a certain date unless you put that on yourself. That's up to you. You will get live help sessions and be able to ask specific questions. Some of you have taken advantage of those already with the setup course. You get the Facebook community with support and guidance and team building within there. And if you buy before April 20th, you're going to get the image optimization course included for free as well, which is a $67 value. That's a mini course. It's a little shorter than the rest of them. So how do you sign up? You go to makingwaveswebsolutions.com, courses and bundle. I will throw a link in here for you and show you where that is. So here we are on the Making Waves website. Let me get you that link here. Tina, I see you posted something. I haven't even read it. I'm sorry. I can see the chat now, but I couldn't see it before. Okay, so you can see the bundle and save, which is both the WordPress setup course and the website builder course for $447 right here. And you've got the link there, so then I believe we are good to go. And at this point, I am all finished, and I would love for anybody to ask any questions that you have.
I don't have a question per se, but to elaborate on what I mentioned in the chat here, I used to work customer service for a tech company, and there'd be at least 1 or 2 people a week who would say, I had somebody build me a website and now I need updates, and they ghosted me and I have no idea how to do this on my own. So don't put yourself in that bind. Learn how to do it. Learn how to do the basics. If you want to hand that off to someone else, great. But at least if you know how to do the basics yourself, you're not going to be in a bind if they ghost you. And then you'll know how to teach somebody else to handle your website. So this is a great course to take, and I definitely recommend taking it.
Thank you so much, Tina. I appreciate that. That's 100% true. And I've seen, like Tina, I've seen many people who are in that situation where I don't like my website and I don't know how to change it. But if I ask, this person who designed it, they're going to charge me so much money that it doesn't make sense. So what do I do? And, that's a difficult position to be in. Anybody else have questions or comments?
I have a comment.
You go for it, Shekinah.
So a lot of the examples that Heather is giving is actually my my story. So I had somebody build the website like 2 or 3 years ago, and it cost me a lot. It cost me a couple $1,000s. It was poor quality. I couldn't go back and edit anything. I had to go back to the guy, and he was never available. He changed my hosting domain to a different host, so I don't even have access to my website anymore because I came to Heather, and she designed something beautiful. Like, it was everything I wanted. We worked side by side, and she taught me a lot of things, which I'm still just on the basics, and would love to jump into her course and know these things, because my own personal story, I lost my website. I lost access to my hosting domain. Like, I've had to track this guy down. He's on the other side of the world. And not knowing how to do these, just they're very basic tasks. It seems really overwhelming, but the way that Heather walked me through it, it was like, oh, okay, well, that's not so bad. Like I can handle that, and I can jump over and I can add these pages and I can do this. It gave me a lot of confidence to be able to not fully design a website, but to have an understanding, just like having an understanding like SEO. I don't know anything about SEO. So this whole webinar, I know more about SEO and I could jump into it. But I would highly, highly recommend jumping into the course. I hope that in the future I could do it myself, because I have had, it's been a nightmare. It's been a nightmare, like going from paying thousands of dollars to have my website built. It wasn't even good quality, having to get it updated, Heather having to update it, then having to like track down, you know, the domain or the hosting. Like he shut down his hosting, he put it in his own host, and like I knew none of this, so I lost access to all of my data. So what Heather is offering is absolutely worth it. Going into running a business, finding out, like, not finding out, but for me, I think having a quality website is the most important aspect of your business. Like that is what's going to get you customers. It's going to put your name out there. You're going to get seen. Like we can try with the word of mouth all we want, but without a quality website, like your business is going to flop. And I can personally attest that I've had a poor quality website, and it's taken me years to get back on the right path to recognize that having that quality website, knowing how to tweak things how I want them, is probably the most important aspect of building up my business. So thank you, Heather, for all your work. I'm looking forward to working more with you.
Thank you, Shekinah. I appreciate you sharing your story. Yeah, and that, you know, don't put yourself in that situation, y'all. It sucks. It's not fun. Catherine, you had your hand up?
Yeah. I've heard so many horror stories like that within like the last 5 to 6 years. So that's why I like totally avoided even thinking about even attempting to hire anybody, or even trying to teach myself, you know, or whatever. So, but I am in Heather's course right now, and I love that I can move at my glacier speed right now. Currently, I hope to speed it up, but being able to go on when I can is, you know, really, really helpful, and I love it, and I appreciate that Heather has done this. So thank
Love
you.
it, Catherine. Thank you. That's very sweet. Thank you. Oh, Ingrid's clapping her hands. Anybody else have comments or questions? Virginia, what you got?
I appreciate the information. Like I can build a website because I can design a website because I teach branding and design, and I've always used my website for personal networking. So I meet someone, I send them to my website. It gets me work that way. But I've never cared about SEO, and SEO now is with the art projects is where I need to be seen. So I can see that I need backlinks. I need to blog, and I use keywords better. So it's like I'm an advanced, you know, because the basics I've got, and I like the hosts that I use, and it's just that now I have to work on SEO.
Absolutely. Yeah. And it is something that commonly people get their website built and then go, okay, now I need to think about SEO. It's probably easier to build in the SEO as you build the website, but not everybody does it that way, and that's okay. It's either way works.
I've never needed it. I mean, I've been in business a long time because I worked by referral, and I worked by when I meet people and I talk about my business, they're interested, and I kind of charge a lot, so I don't only take a couple clients a month. So I don't need that. But with art, because it's something people can buy online, you need more volume. And but it did help to look at those keyword things.
Very good.
Thank you.
Very good. I'm happy I could help, Virginia. Anybody else with questions or comments?
It's me.
Okay, Shekinah.
What was the name of you said Sunburst? you said that it was like the largest SEO company. Like if we want
SEMrush.
SunRush.
Right here, let me put it in the chat.
Yeah, just
There we
wanting
go.
to do a little bit more research on SEO and like
Let me
these
see if I
different
can find a link to
how
them
it
real
works.
fast.
SEMrush.
SEMrush.com. Yeah. And they cost, you can't use them for free. Actually, Shekinah, I was playing with SEMrush when I was very first building your site. What was that? A year and 2 years
That's
ago?
a year ago.
Whatever it was.
That was a year ago.
I was playing with SEMrush, so I had put your site into SEMrush, so I still sometimes get emails about Kenai River vacations from SEMrush. But you can use it just for this much for free, and then it's, oh, you have to pay now, so just know that. But it's a good tool, and they have a good I don't know if they call it a blog, but they have good resources. They call it their resources page. Here, I can share this again real quick. And then I have to share this tab. Oh, it's taking a minute. There we go. So I'm on the SEMrush website. I gave you guys the link to it, and I did give you the link, right? Yeah. And if you go to the resources, here, they have a blog, then they have some other things, and all of this is free. If you use their actual features, you have to pay for it. I don't actually know what it costs, but I feel like it's not cheap.
Yeah, just wanting to learn.
$129 a month. So that's not cheap.
Just wanting to learn more about SEO and like more resources to kind of study about SEO instead of going on YouTube. And I feel like this is a good basic course, but definitely want to know more about how SEO works. So,
and SEMrush's blog and resources will be great for that. So yeah, that's a great resource to use too, y'all. Anybody else with questions or comments before we finish up? No? Well, guys, thank you so much for coming. I hope you'll check out my courses. I hope you learned a little bit about SEO today, and I really appreciate it. Have a great rest of your Monday, guys.
Thank you, Heather. Bye.
Thank you,
ladies.
Heather.
Thank you. Bye, guys.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.